All right, so I had some questions about how to write an equation given 2 points. So I did I think this one's maybe a little bit more complicated than the one that I had done in the video. So I'm going to go ahead and just start over and work through it again. I was going to talk you through my already worked out problems, but I think it'd be easier just to show you how to do it. So I have the points 2, 16, and 3, 32. So I know that we're going to be using the equation y equals a times b raised to the x, because that's the form of an exponential function. And I know that when x is 2, y is 16. So I'm going to plug that in. 16 equals a times b raised to the second. And I also know that 32 equals a times b raised to the third. So I know I'm going to have to use substitution or elimination or something along those lines, some sort of solving, because both of these equations, I'm looking for my phone's ringing again. But anyway, I'm looking for the a and the b, and I can't solve for two variables. I have to just solve for one. So anyway, here we go. Let's try this. I'm going to try to get a all by itself, or b all by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by a. So I have 16 over a equals b squared. Now to get b by itself, I have to take the square root of both sides. So now we know the square root of 16 is 4. So I have 4 over the square root of a equals b. So now that I know what b is equivalent to, even though it's a nasty mess, I can take it over to this equation and plug it in here in place of b. So I have 32 equals a times 4 over the square root of a cubed. So now I'm going to just cube both of these. 32 equals a. See, I can't think. I can never think. My kids are running in and out of the door. The cat's meowing. The phone's ringing. I'm making a video. Please stop. So 4 raised to the third power is 4 times 4, which is 16. 16 times 4 is what? 64, I believe. Over the cubed root of, or the square root of a cubed. Now remember, the square root of a is the same as a raised to the 1/2. So I'm just going to rewrite it as 1 over a to the 1/2 cubed. A power raised to a power we multiply. So I'm going to get a to the 3/2. Okay. So now this is ugly looking, but we can simplify. So 32 equals 64 times a over a to the 3/2. So that I can combine these two problems. I'm going to rewrite this. We know this is a to the first, but I'm going to rewrite it as a to the 2 over 2. That way I have a common fraction, or fractions with a common denominator. So 2/2 take away 3/2 is -1/2. So we know that, or we can see that the 1/2 is going to stay in the denominator. So I have 32 equals 64 over a to the 1/2, or the square root of a. So now what I'm going to do is I've got to get that square root of a out of there. So I'm going to times both sides by the square root of a. So I have 32 square root of a equals 64. I divide both sides by 32 to get a by itself. So I have the square root of a equals 2. I square both sides to get a by itself, and a equals 4. So now we're almost done. I just figured out that a is equal to 4. So now I've got to come back in and figure out then what is b. So let's keep using the 216. So y equals a times b raised to the x, and we're using the points 2, 16, and we just found out that a was, what was it, 4? Yes, so a is 4. Now I've got to solve for b. So 16 equals 4 times b raised to the second. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4. And I get 4 equals b squared I take the square root of b, and I get 2 equals b. So my equation must be y equals 4 times 2 raised to the x. And now we can plug both of those points in, the 216 and the 332, and just make sure that it works. So 2 squared is 4. 4 times 4 is 16, so that one works. 2 cubed is 8. 8 times 4 is 32, so that one works. So this must be our equation. I hope that helps. Sorry for all the madness that is my life and the distraction.